Hey Soul Tribe, it's that time of the year. Time to look into what could be going on for you guys in the year of 2025. First of all, are you done with 2024? I certainly am done with this particular year. How has your year been? Because it seems as though a lot of folks have been dealing with conflict, setbacks, a lot of confusion. Chances are you've been dealing with this feeling like you're trying to do everything you're supposed to be doing, but why isn't it all working out? It feels like 2024 could have been a little bit of a conspiracy against you, but I want to encourage you during this time that regardless of however 2024 manifested for you, all of these setbacks, these shifts, even the synchronicities, everything has been orchestrated in such a way so that you can get onto your divine path. So, we're gonna go through the zodiac. We're gonna go from Aries to Pisces, and we're gonna be looking at some key components. We'll break it down by each quarterly part of the year. And then we'll also ask what it is you're going to be experiencing when it comes to your money, your finances, your career. We'll also inquire about your relationships. Are they good? Are they bad? Well, we're going to find out, and where you're going to be on the spiritual path. But overall, I am encouraged. I do have the card of manifest. You guys are in this lovely position where you have set aside a previous version of yourself and have gotten so much better at observing your reality. I've talked about 2024 being the year of observation. If your world were a movie script, what's the story you're trying to tell? Because we go into 2025, it is the year of transparency. Just see people for who they are. It's time for us to get out of this idea that we need to over compromise and overcomplicate our relationships. So, just a quick sort of a taster to see of things to come before we dive in. Got Dare to Dream. Even if it feels as though a lot of the things that you have experienced are anti manifestations, as though things were taken away, trust that those things were taken away for your greatest and highest good. A lot of destruction is happening around you. Allow the buildings to fall, allow the bridges to crumble, and just trust that you are moving into something way more divine. You're going to become way more empowered over this year. Your creativity is going to be going up tenfold when you're no longer held back by the way that other people perceive you. You're limitless. You're no longer adhered to the idea of a glass ceiling, and you're going to be able to get wild, get out of your bubble. And in a lot of ways, I feel as though for the collective, you guys are going to be able to start overcoming some particular blind spots. Let's get one more movement. No matter how it is that this year has gone for you, it was all to create movement to go forward. I just saw 3:33 on the clock. So I got the timestamps below for all of the zodiac signs. You can go by your sun, moon, rising, and or Venus. Let's dive in. All right, Taurus, let's have a look at what your year of 2025 could end up manifesting as. But I can say right off the bat that Taurians will be able to start identifying what habits or even people have been pulling on your energy. I feel as though you've been really over dedicating yourself, not just this year. I feel like there's been this like, you've been so devoted and so loyal, but why do I sound so constipated in your energy? I'm sorry to bring that image to you, Taurus, but whatever this feeling as though you've been resisting something. Like, I love Taurus energy, like my mother is a Taurus. But there's a tremendous stubbornness that I feel like you will be able to start freeing yourself from, because whatever this tension you have been struggling with has gotten in the way of your happiness. So we are going to be looking at each of the quarters. quarter one, two, three, and four, and we'll get a snapshot view of what the year could look like for you guys. But after I go to cut, trickery. Like, I don't know, have you been tricking yourself? Have you been trying to sort of this feeling like, oh, I'm just gonna make nice and we'll get ready for another day. It's this sort of it's a very shallow feeling where you're just trying to make it through one day at a time. You're trying to be the reliable one. You're trying to be the nurturer. And you've been trying to be there for everybody, but have you been there for yourself? So what is genuine January, February, March going to be like for the Taurus collective? Teamwork. This feels like a bit of a catch-22. The moment I saw this, it's like teamwork. Great. Wonderful. It's this feeling as though you're gonna have to start working with a new set of people, or in many ways, maybe your leadership skills might be up for review, which that could bring a lot of tension. The North Node does move into Pisces during this period of time. And when we have North Nodal energy, we're talking about destiny. Whether if you're trying to move forward to understand your own personal destiny, and also trying to figure out what karmic path you're trying to leave behind. And I feel as though for the first few months within the year of 2025, it's going to be a year in review. You're going to have to take a step back and start realizing and figuring out what is worth investing your resources into. If Because I feel like you do have a soulmate incoming, and maybe you know this person already, something ramps up, or you're going to meet somebody brand new. But I'd like to think that this is someone who you normally wouldn't necessarily work with, just to kind of get your head into a different thinking space, to think outside the box. You've been thinking a little bit too much like you, or over identifying with the people who are draining your energy. But we got the Nine of Cups, and this is trying to be happy. This is trying to make the most of your situation. Taurus feels as though you have been selling yourself short. I'm being encouraged to cut this because that's just the surface. And when you're stuck on the surface, you're having a difficult time tuning into how it is you truly feel. We do have King of Cups. Like, in some ways, this is proving your love and worthiness, wanting to be there for somebody. I suddenly got very hot and flustered within this energy. Got the card of Eight of Wands, like, I'm hearing a look before you leap. Um, and it's one of these feelings where there's going to be a bit of a sudden shift in the types of people that you interact with. This could be at work, this could be in your personal relationships. Three of Wands, like, take into consideration during this time. You are seeking out an opportunity, but I feel as though you're really down on yourself during this time. Like, it's like this kid jumps in. It's like, oh my God, let's go do something. Let's do teamwork. Let's pair up. Let's do a thing. And you're just like, I know I've been looking for this opportunity. I don't know how many fucks I want to give. So, like, there's this feeling of someone who's very hyperactive and energized around you. And there's a little bit of complacency that I think Taurus might be struggling with. Queen of Swords, like, there's a. Mm, there's going to be a chance for you to start learning how to have more healthier, open, more honest conversations with people around you. If you have been accustomed to entertaining childlike energies, I feel as though the first quarter of the year is going to this is divinely orchestrated. This isn't here to haunt you, but it's this orchestration where you have to put up a healthier boundary with somebody. Even if they are like, oh, just chatting in your face, always like being in your energy, stuff like that. It's kind of like if you move in with a brand new roommate, you yourself maybe you enjoy being quiet, you kind of keep to yourself, but the roommate just constantly wants to chat your ear off and it just ends up being draining. Like you've been in a little bit of a habit, it feels like. You've been giving people too much space to take up your own energy. And there's a bit of a risk of things going one way or the other. Um, like regardless of what however this ends up manifesting, because it's going to be different for all of you. All I can do is just give you examples, and it's just important for you to just be thoughtful, just speak things how they are, and in some ways not allowing your emotions to really get in the way for the first few months. Whatever karmic loop you're trying to free yourself from, it is in the theme of your own sense of happiness. But I think, Taurus, you may have been so over dedicated to making sure that everybody else around you is happy that you've forgotten to take care of yourself during this time. But as we move forward to the second quarter, we're talking about the summer solstice for the months of April, May, and June. Jupiter will be entering into Cancer, and Neptune is going to be going into Aries. Like, there's going to be a bit of a toggle with the outer planets during this year. And in some ways, this is just kind of rolling with the punches and taking the energies as they come and go. Like I just suddenly got a big fucking headache for Q2. And there's a lot of expansion and growth getting ready to happen, but this is a lot of your subconscious growth because the person who you're presenting on the outside isn't isn't aligning with who you are on the inside. And I feel like the second quarter there the tension could come to a head, or the tension could come into a headache. Like, what do we got right here? Displacement. Like, I feel like you have been speaking up for yourself. And I'm sorry to say, Q2 may feel like a big, huge mess where you're trying to figure out, is this my mess that I have to clean up? I feel as though the people around you, they're just going to show you their true nature. They're just going to show you their true colors. And that seems to be the theme of 2025. Just can we just accept people that if they're going to behave a certain way, just allow them to be that? It doesn't mean you need to entertain them. It doesn't mean that they have to go along with you. It's sort of like, how important is this relationship to you? Because Q1 is asking you to consider how important is it to really communicate, because delaying, it's sort of like, you're trying to wake up in the morning, you had a bad night's sleep, and you keep hitting the snooze button. There does come a point where you're going to be late for an appointment. Um, so I feel as though Q1 is really designed to help you, Taurus, to figure out what priorities, um, yeah, what are your priorities? Who is the priority? And even if you like, you have to confront something. I'm sorry, but you will need to confront something or someone. And if this is not somebody outside of you, it's confronting how you actually feel on the inside, because I see the card of displacement, and it could go a couple of different ways. I just saw 1010 on the clock. Um, it's sort of like you don't want to live with somebody anymore. Maybe this is the obnoxious roommate, and it's one of these feelings like, I need to have a roommate in order to pay rent, but I would rather live within my car than have to deal with this bullshit. It's an extreme example, and in some ways, I feel like the universe is trying to point out how you're just avoiding something. Like, this is a little bit of a conflict avoidant thing that the universe is trying to help you talk through, because I think you know this deep within your soul. I do have the Eight of Swords at the base over here. You know you're holding yourself back by not speaking up, and you're just going to keep delaying the inevitable. And there's a risk of you getting a little bit more impoverished if you don't learn how to confront this. What do we have up here? Seven of Swords. I'm sorry, Taurus. You've been lying to yourself this entire time. Happy, 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 happy. Like, in some ways, I'm reenacting your energy. And it's this feeling like you gotta be honest. Like you have been lying to yourself. And you've been doing it so well intended. Your intentions, they have been good, but your priorities, they've been imbalanced. What else do we have here? The Emperor. Your guides are trying to help you establish yourself within your masculinized energies. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, or non-binary. The Emperor is all about being able to feel rooted, knowing that you can speak up for yourself regardless if you're worried about losing your job, losing a relationship, losing your marriage, losing a house. Because I do see the Eight of Swords at the base, I think that some of this hyperbole, it's a little bit fictitious. With Neptune going into Aries during this time, like Neptunian energy is our subconscious, and what are our daydreams like? This is Aries energy right here, and you're going to start seeing the sort of the first whispers of this transit, because Neptune will stay in Aries and then it'll go back to Pisces towards the end of the year, and that it requires you to think about, okay, I want to reestablish myself, but then having to withdraw yourself again and go, maybe I really want this? And then in some ways, there's a risk of you going back into your shell, and the divine wants to use Q2 to make sure that you are incentivized to really look after yourself without succumbing to fear. Let's get one more card. We got the card of strength. Like there's some kind of incentivization happening for you, and the universe is like, do you really want to be happy? How happy How happy would you feel? Like, I'm not saying this is literal. Please take this as an analogy. But it's one of these feelings like if you have like a pet lion over here, and say you're walking your pet lion down the road and they eat something like a big, huge rock. And it's one of these feelings like, oh my God, I need to go and fish the rock out of my lion's mouth, because if they swallow it, that's a huge bill. God forbid that you have to let the lion go and put it down. It's this sort of pressure that the universe is putting on you during this time with, and it's one of these things where your instincts kick in, and it's like, you know what, I'm okay with the bite marks on my arm because I care about this situation so much. I'm gonna fish out whatever is required to make sure that, in this case, my fictitious pet lion remains happy and healthy. um you're not being cursed during this time, but I'm sorry, you're kind of being a Taurian during this period of your life. You're a little bit on script. It can be a very stubborn energy when you want to keep the things that make you feel good, treat yourself, but some of these things have become a little bit of a crutch. It's not as though you're not worthy of having good things, but what's the point of having nice shoes and having all of the electronics and having a mortgage if you're not happy? Like, there's a real ask for you to do some introspection during this particular year. And I'm just going to see, got the card of wrath underneath the card of trickery. Like, you've tricked yourself, and the universe is trying to unscramble this mind trick you did on yourself. As we go into the third quarter, we got July, August, and September. During that time, we will also be enjoying the autumnal equinox. And I'm hearing sort of collecting your thoughts, collecting your experiences. I feel like there is a bit of a line drawn within the sand as we go into the third quarter. Uranus will be going into Gemini, and there's a lot of awakenings that will be happening, that's cute, during this period of your life. I feel as though you're going to be going through a bit of an introspective period, but what does the card have to say? I gotta look to the man in the mirror. Oh yeah. Something, I can change my ways. Like, you're gonna start having some epiphanies, some realizations, the all important aha moments. Because if you want to make the world a better place, how does the line go? If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make the change. You've been struggling with trying to get everybody else around you to change because if they're happy, then it means that I'm happy. And there's nothing wrong with seeking out happiness with your friends and family or even your colleagues around you, but you have forgotten that you are important. And Gemini energy is all about let's just communicate right now. There are a lot of lessons that you're going to be gleaning from the first part of 2025. Um, you're going to be encouraged to journal. Like, even if you're not a journaling type, there's so many apps out there that make it easy for you to just randomly like write things down. Maybe you can get yourself a whole ton of post-it notes. I know some of you are afraid of becoming that person who has the closet with the whiteboards and everything pinned on the wall with the string. And you know what? If that's the way your brain needs to mind map, so do it. But just make sure you're using that as a time of self-reflection. You have been subconsciously over obsessing other people. Like, if you want to take that image of the person who has the closet with all the newspaper clippings and trying to piece things together, it's creepy when you're focused on somebody else. It's not creepy when you're trying to understand who it is that you are. Like, diagram your life if that's what it takes. But that you're being encouraged. You have the message now. You've gotten the memo. So it means that you can start making some steps now to have a daily journaling practice. Auto writing is a good one. Even if you just want to sit on your phone, turn on that, the microphone dictation feature and just speak all of your thoughts for 5 minutes first thing in the morning. Make sure you are alone. Make sure that this is just a space for you to have a chance with the me, myself, and I. But there's something about the stuff you're saying about yourself, the way you actually feel about people, that you haven't been willing to consciously accept. We do have the Empress. This is your energy. Like, you're allowed to have your cake and eat it too, but if you keep giving cake to everybody else and you don't even get a slice, well, you're just going to be miserable. It's like, it's my birthday and I didn't even get to eat my own cake. Like, what is the point of being that generous if you're miserable? If you're super happy and totally fine with it, first off, why are you here? What have we got going on here? The moon. There's a lot of these things that are be coming up to the surface. I feel like some of the epiphanies that have happened during the summer and the second quarter with Jupiter going into Cancer, having a better connection of how it is you are actually thinking versus how you think you should be behaving, those things will be called into question. And there could be a lot of tension during this time, but is it your tension? Is it tension that you think other people are feeling? There's something that you have convinced yourself, Taurus, that the divine really wants to bring up to the surface because you're hiding from yourself and you're not expressing your emotions. And people who aren't able to feel their emotions, express them properly and healthily, even to themselves. That's where depression kicks in. That's where anxiety can also ramp up. And there's a real ask for you to think about your mental health and your personal sense of well being. We got the Three of Swords. Like, this fear that you've been manufacturing the first part of the year, like, sure, it's not as though people are just going to be like, oh, thank you so much for being honest. There are some feelings that need to be felt, but look at the card right here. There is surrender. You've been manufacturing as though everything's going to come to a head, as though everything's going to fall apart, and you've created this sort of end of the world apocalyptic narrative when it's not necessary. We got Nine of Pentacles. Like, you've had people who've been taking from you. It's like, hey, I brought home some cheddar. Oh, thanks for the cheddar. And they walk off. It's the same thing with that cake I was talking about a little bit earlier. I feel like you're just going to get some relief. Just see these people for who it is that they actually are. Like, there's just some people who don't have your best interests at heart, and you have other people, they do actually need to go out of their way to learn how to take care of themselves better. Like, unless they are your actual physical child and you can still get a tax benefit from them. That's a joke saying under the age of 18. Some people within your life, they need to become more autonomous, and you have inadvertently been a crutch towards them. But as you go into the fourth quarter, and we're going to be entering into the winter solstice, like before we even dive into that, I have to ask you, Taurus, where do you want to be a year from now? It's the end of 2024 as I go to record this. Where do you personally want to be in 1 year? Because if you're having a difficult time feeling into an energy of happiness, hope, and relief, it's because you're limiting yourself on your actual potential. Neptune will slide back into Pisces during this time, and it's going to make you revisit some of your subconscious dreams. And I'm hearing, like, make hay, make way, make it up as you go. You have a chance to actually start having a little bit of peace of mind that taking care of yourself isn't a sin. What's going to be the theme of the fourth quarter? Ghosts. This is interesting. Um, this is technically good news because you are going to start seeing echoes of a previous version of yourself a year from now. The person who you are in this moment will cease to exist in 1 year if you put in the intention that you wish to be happier. If you wish to put in the intention that you'd like to have more dynamic, thoughtful, growth-based relationships, but it does start with you. Let's shuffle and we'll see what's going on right here. Like, again, I'm getting hot and flustered in this particular energy. Um, who have you been trying to placate to? Sometimes we get into marriages because they're sort of the exact copy of the dysfunction of our own family. The familiar feels good, but when the familiar becomes overly dysfunctional, and especially if you felt as though there has been no growth within your life, it requires you to start having some very difficult conversations. Like, I know with how I've been phrasing things, this could be a very difficult year for Taurus. Don't let that bring you down. This is a year of supreme growth. If you're willing to trust the universe with what that growth potential could be, and we go back to the Eight of Swords. There's something that you have manufactured in your own mind. I just feel this blockage within your crown and third eye chakra. You've invented a problem based on a family habit, based on what is familiar, or maybe based on, like, you had one argument with somebody 10 years ago and you've decided that's how the argument will always be no matter what. Um, it's time to grow up. But I really feel like this moment in the fourth quarter 2025, you'll actually start seeing the results of that growth. What do we have right here? We got the devil, seeing it for what it truly is. And also recognizing that, you remember I was saying earlier, you can have the nice shoes, you can have all the nice little gadgets and the electronics, the nice car, the nice house, but if everybody else is unhappy, if you are unhappy, what's the point of having all of these goods? Like, this is Capricorn season that we're divining into. And whenever we have the winter solstice, it asks us to look at the darkest day of our life and try to figure out what is truly important to you. A year from now, you'll be able to have some similar realizations, being able to look back on a past version of yourself, especially if you were willing to thoughtfully document your thoughts on a daily basis, build up that meditation practice. Eight of Cups, like, there's freedom for you to move forward. And I'm not saying you're giving up relationships. I'm not saying that you have to give up the good things in life. You're giving up a previous version of yourself. There's a lot of hope within this card. I've got a lot of sunlight that you're walking towards. And I will note, there is the key. There's something about you doing all the internal work for the year 2025 that's going to reveal exactly what it is that you need to know so that you can move forward into 2026 and feel confident about all the growth. Like, I feel as though you're going to be going through something where, like, 7 years of acceleration within 1 year, but you're getting it all done in one go. Seven of Cups, that confirms that. You're going to be going through some rapid growth. You used to worry that if you spoke up for yourself, that if you chose yourself, that bad things would happen. That illusion is coming to an end. Let's get a final card, a final message for Taurus so that they can feel confident and anchor in. And in some ways, I want to challenge you guys to start tapping into the feeling of being good. Like you've been manifesting chaos because you don't feel as though you're worthy of good things. But what does the version of you today feel like you're worthy of? Like, just start with that. It just takes one little drop of water in the bucket before everything else can flow through. You have to make the intention in order to allow your manifestation to finally come through. After all that, we have cellular light, bioluminescence, self-illumination, simplicity. While it may be tempting to keep it complicated during the season of your life, just keep it simple. You're seeking out your happiness. You are trying to seek out your own sense of growth. The universe has heard you and it's getting ready to accelerate you. Are you ready to meet the invitation of the universe? I'm just saying. Wow. Well, Taurus, wherever it is that you end up going on your journey in 2025, I sincerely hope that this helped. Make sure to check out the timestamps below. There are plenty of other messages for you out there to help you through this particular year. If you found this helpful, please make sure to like the video on the way out. And if you're kind of curious what the next message is going to be, I highly recommend that you subscribe. And until I see you at the next one, I'm wishing you peace, love, and all the berries. Bye. Welcome, Virgo. Let's jump in and see what 2025 has in store for you. I can say right off the bat that this year is going to be very significant and very transformative for the Virgo collective. I really get the sense that you will be able to look back on 2025 and see it as sort of a pinnacle year in your own personal journey. Your life is never going to be the same. That's like a real bold ass statement that we're going to be making right off the bat. So, in today's reading, we're going to be breaking down the year based on quarterly events. Um, and we're also going to have a look at a few of the astrological elements that could be influencing you during this time. But overall, Virgo, I got the card of curiosity. Like, I really feel as though you're going to be making these really neat shifts. You're going to be asking the right questions. And I feel as though you're going to be meeting people or taking on some new ventures that you might have been just too exhausted to check out or too anxious or intimidated or overwhelmed. It feels like 2025, a lot will be freed up from your psyche and you won't be holding yourself back or making excuses for yourself anymore. So for the first quarter of 2025, that's January, February, and March. And during that time, during the spring equinox and the beginning of the year, the North Node will be shifting into Pisces. And the North Node is a chance for us to have a look at our destined path. What is it that you have been guided to this earth to do? What is your passion? What is your purpose? What is the ever loving fucking point of living? Those are absolutely valid and good questions. And with this North Nodal shift, there's a bit of a reset going on. We've been in Aries for the last year and a half, and that is, we got to get back onto the path, especially if you felt like you've been living off course and trying to get yourself back into the right direction. I feel like Virgo, you've been trying your best just to sort of shove yourself back into place. I feel almost like a little bit of the spirograph kind of feeling. You've had to go and battle through a lot of loop-de-loos and a lot of these little setbacks. But I feel like as you enter into 2025, you're not going to be letting that shit get you down. We got the card of night, and it was like, well, there's a little bit of this sort of, I'm so sleepy. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Like, I feel like Virgo, you're gonna still need to take a lot of rest for yourself. 2024 has been exhausting for a lot of folks, and especially if you've been ending off the year with just supreme exhaustion, trying to get things done. Like, there's still going to be an ask for you for the first few months. You need to rest. There are a lot of people who are around you I feel like there are a lot of people around you. They're not ready to be woken up. And, as my dogs try to like chase off whoever is in front of the door, it's sort of like you could try to startle them awake. And these people are just like, okay, yeah, cool, whatever. I'm going back to sleep now. Like, in some ways, the beginning of the year, it may not feel as though this is going to be the ultimate year. I'm walking into this energy, making a gambling bet that this is gonna be the year, Virgo. This is gonna be like the life that you always wanted. And it's starting off with, so let's get some cards. Let's start shuffling and see if we can get a little bit more detail as to what's going to go on for the first few months. Like, I can't tell if this is you or if this is the community around you, but I think you're just vibing with everybody, in some ways being kind of empathetic. I feel like you don't want to be rude. It's sort of like you're ready to start off the new year on a brand new foot, but everyone else is not quite there yet. It could be a little bit discouraging for the first few months, but I want to make sure that you're able to have a big picture view on as to what's going on. We do have the two of wands. This does feel a little bit like it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle. I would like to say that you're making an intentional choice to embrace the uphill. Like, I'm speaking in question marks right now just because the way that your year is going to start off, it's sort of like you're walking in faith, definitely not by sight. And it's like suspicious Virgo is suspicious, and I feel like you don't want to make waves, but let's get a few cards to get some detail. Got the Six of Cups. I, it's sort of like a past life soulmate cropping up to the surface, or this could also just be family, or even just ruminating how things were during the holidays. I feel like towards the end of 2024, there might be some realizations when it comes to how you're related to your parents or how you relate to authority figures in your life. But let's get a little bit more. Got Four of Wands. This is celebratory. This is getting together. This is the magic. Along with Queen of Cups. Like, this does feel good. I know this energy feels sleepy, but it's a little bit more like, can I just curl up in bed with the person that I love, and can I just like sleep this off? Like, this does feel as though like nothing's going on, but it's almost a, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's not a bad thing. In some ways, 2025 is not really going to ramp up with the supreme intensity. And I'm hearing a few of you Virgos go, oh, thank God. Especially if you've been embracing a lot of changes, you've been very exhausted, having to just deal with a myriad of changes. Like 2024 was rough for everybody. It's sort of like you get to sleep in a little bit. Can I phrase it to you that way, Virgo? Like your year's gonna start off where it's a little bit nostalgic. Home life feels as though it's starting off like, just it's a very gentle feeling. Like, you're around the people that you love, you're around people who you love and care about. You might be kind of ruminating about how 2024 went for you. So, like, I would really take advantage of this beginning part of 2025. Make a spiritual practice for yourself, a meditation practice, because we don't necessarily want to get to the point of supreme frustration, anger, anxiety, or just or complete overwhelm and then start the spiritual practice. Like, this is sort of like the divine's giving you a chance to develop something healthy while things are quiet for you. Rather than having to make necessary changes in complete chaos. Like, your energy is very different from the first half of the signs that I have been divining into. So, like Virgo, you're getting a bit of a lucky break to start off the year. As you're going into the second quarter, so we're talking about May, June, April, May, June. It's so funny. I keep skipping over the month of May with all of the readings. It's sort of like this like little blind spot in April. I don't know quite know what that is, but it's sort of like a wild card. Do with it as you will. It may be an opportunity for you to manifest something into your life. And if anything, remove something so that you can make room for the bigger and the better. But during this period, we're talking about Jupiter will be entering into Cancer. Jupiter is all about expansion. Like, you gotta expand your horizons, man. Like, given that it's going into Cancer, um, like there's a chance for you to start being more thoughtful again, like really initiating a spiritual practice. If you never really thought yourself as a hella spiritual person, and it's sort of this feeling is like, I don't know, I'll check out this weird tarot thing with this berries person. Like, I feel like you're going to be entering onto a new spiritual path, especially if you were, say, religious, but being a little bit more open to the absurd. And in some ways, I feel like you're being a little bit subversive. It's kind of a similar feeling when I started my early awakening, probably in 2016, 2017, where I started checking out like yoga and sound bowls, like using healing sound music, the sound of music. And also trying to understand the chakra systems, and to me, that I was being a little bit subversive compared to my upbringing, from being a Christian. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but for you deep down inside, the shift feels like a big deal. We also have Neptune going into Aries, and it's sort of as though trying to make our fantasy life be a little bit more practical. How can I actually make my dreams become my reality? But what's the overall energy? Observation. Like, this is such a cool reading. Like, it really is. I have joked that 2024 is the year of observation. There's something from the previous year that you have, it's sort of like you're able to start collating everything that happened to you in 2024. I will also note with these cards, 33 leading up to a 34, there's something very well paced, something that has been set up for you step by step. Like, I don't know why for Virgo, I really feel like your belief systems are just due for an overhaul. But when we question our belief systems, it's challenging, scary, and sometimes unwise for us to share those epiphanies with people who we know. Like, if there's certain people I knew from my upbringing as a Christian, if I shared with them that I was interested in numerology or sound bowl healing or the chakra system, like I would get the look. And it's sort of like, I don't know the energy to deal with your looks, but I don't know anybody who's really into it. It's just a version of you that just feels like, you know what? I'm just gonna pretend that the spiritual woo-woo bullshit is real and see what happens. And it's actually kind of cool. Like, you're really opening yourself up to a new level of your spirituality, Virgo, and it doesn't need to be that intense. So many people, like yours truly, sometimes have to go through a massive spiritual crisis before they're willing to start letting go of belief systems that are expired, that don't apply, that cause more harm than good. There's something very gentle about Virgo's journey, that you're just captaining your own ship. I really like this. What do we have? Got Page of Cups. Like, it's as though you're going to start just sharing what's on your mind. And it's a little bit naive. And in some ways, it's like you're sharing some of your spiritual realizations, but you're kind of doing it like a little kid. It's sort of like Sage doesn't really do anything, but I'd like to think that it does something. There's just something about starting with the action of spirituality just because it feels fun. It feels like a scene. It's if this is a kid, this is make believe. And I just saw, 1333, like this is you actually introducing yourself to your childlike nature, like something really cool must have happened to you in 2024. Although some of you be like, that was not cool, berries, not cool whatsoever. Let's get some cards. Got the card of the Emperor. And that does confirm some of this Neptune going into Aries energy. It's just sort of this feeling like, well, I lived the first half of my life being miserable and annoyed. Why would I continue the second half of my life feeling this way? Like that Seven of Pentacles. Like, I feel as though you're just going to be really content. And in some ways, just having a little bit of honesty with the way that you have established yourself, or maybe how your family try to instill certain belief systems upon you. What else we have? High Priestess. I like that she is in her light aspect. Like Virgo is going through this like really soft awakening. Like I'm a little bit nervous. Like nervous berries is nervous. It's just sort of like something gonna jump out of the corner and scream at you. Is are you gonna get founded it out? Like there's something really fun and cute about what Virgo was going through, but in some ways, I think you're being extremely smart. Like, I'm a Gemini and I just loudmouth and just tell everybody everything almost to my detriment. But I really feel like Virgo this year, you're creating a healthy self care routine, reprioritizing what needs to be urgent within your life. Um, as we go into the third quarter, like we got a shift going on when it comes to Uranus into Gemini. So throughout the months of July, August, and September, going into that autumnal equinox, like I feel as though leading up until this point, you're setting some very reasonable goals for yourself. And it's not even like you want to unearth your life and move on and do something different. Even though I'm still looking, this is a significant year for you. But it's sort of like significant with a whisper. With Uranus going to Gemini, a lot of people are going to be waking up, and it's going to be a very fast and sudden shift. And while a lot of people around you, it's sort of like, oh my God, like, did you ever think about doing it this way? Oh my God, can you believe that maybe this could be real? Are aliens a thing? Like, and I feel like Virgo, you're just going to be like, yeah, yeah, I'm kind of thinking about that. It's sort of as though you're just waiting for everybody else to wake up so that you can maybe start talking about it. Because again, your overall theme for the year is curiosity. It's just, if you meet someone who's like all woo woo and spiritual, it's just like you're observing them. It's like, okay, well, they're not completely that crazy. They seem kind of sensible, but whatever. I'll just wait to see what happens there. Oh, that fucker over there needs help. Okay, fine. I'm just gonna go over here. Like this year feels like you're just in some ways it's like what I suggested for 2024, just observe. But 2025 is a lot about transparency, but I feel as though Virgo you have this emotional maturity that you just don't want to meddle in things. You don't want to rock the boat. You're just kind of waiting for everybody else to catch up to you, but you don't even realize that you're consciously doing it. This really feels underneath the surface. What's Q3 going to be like? Distance? I Because you are taking the initiative, Virgo, to prioritize self-care, prioritize your family life, prioritize your home. Like you are doing the right thing this year in terms of not trying to manifest any more chaos. Chances are you've been through enough. and you just don't want it for yourself anymore. And I think you were able to take the lessons from 2024 and realize that that's just not worth poking. That's just not worth talking about. You know what? That person is just not worth trying to lecture. Like, you really have learned how to pick your battles. And even though we have the card of distance, it's as though through your calmness, through this sense of integrity, it's like you're able to get a way better look at the landscape. Like, believe it or not, Virgo, especially for those of you who will go through a spiritual awakening, this will be a very gentle wake up call. A lot of people around you, they're just going to be agitated. They will not be able to handle it. But I think a lot more people will be communicative and you'll just be there. It's again, well, I was just waiting for everyone to kind of show up and I was just kind of see if there's any kind of confirmation of it. This is one of those rare moments where normally I'd lecture you and say you got to find the change from within and you can't seek proof with the external world. But in your case, like you're already finding the calm from within. You are actually doing the inner work and you're being so patient. Like I'm almost jealous of you. Like good job, Virgo. Like why are you here? Like I think you are going to start discovering how much of an old soul you really are. And some of there's gonna be some weird belief systems that maybe you would have dismissed when you were younger or dismissed other people because you thought they were crazy. But there's some subversion within your energy. It's like, you know what? I want to believe in aliens just because why not? Who fucking cares? Either they're going to be nice or they're going to be awful. Like, but they're still there. There's some supreme acceptance going on. I really like that. For overall, we do have the Two of Pentacles. I call this my neuroregulation card. Like, Virgo, like this, you're doing well. Like, you really have taken your lessons and recognized ah where it's worth investing your energy and what is really important to you. You really learned a lot of priorities and your I'm hearing your psychic abilities are actually going to be ramping up during this time. Cool. There we go. King of Cups. That is a little bit of a confirmation with the emotional maturity. Rather than going out and meddling and trying to force an opinion onto somebody, you're trying to convince them to their opinion or, you know, you're not chasing people anymore. You feel anchored, you feel secured within this energy. What else do we have? Three of Pentacles. And there's going to be a shift with the type of people that you wish to work alongside. If there is one consistent message I've gotten across all the elements towards the latter part of 2025, you're going to find your tribe. You're going to find your people. There are some signs where they're just going to be in complete fucking chaos and overthinking it, and then they find the tribe. But Virgo, you have the benefit of just knowing it'll be fine. I'm just curious. I'm just going to go about things in a very diligent way. And you still find the people. And in some ways, a lot of the signs could probably learn from your good example. And I think towards the end of the year, you're actually going to start meeting more and more people who've been going through different variations of the timeline. And you will be able to mentor each other, create brand new projects. Like, I really feel like sort of like your mastermind will become activated because as your psychic abilities become stronger, your ability to accept downloads from the divine, this feels very divine feminine overall with this particular energy. Well, I still haven't seen the Empress. It's just more so you have recognized who's just not worth your time and energy, who's not in alignment, and you don't need that. Like, it's as though your feminine energy will be heavily activated and your masculine feels very rooted and anchored in. There we go. Temperance. Like, this is just like one good news. Yeah, one piece of good news after the next. Like, I'm hearing you have authorship of your autonomy, and this is balance within balance. that you have actually been able to take the time, especially towards the beginning part of 2025, and really begin to recognize that if I know what is important to me, everything else can go away. And you've done such a good job creating this solid foundation that you feel okay with pushing people away who either they can't take your good advice, they're not in alignment with what you truly want out of your life, and you have an inner knowing that it's going to be okay. Wow. Like, in some ways, it's sort of like, well, what can I tell you? Like, I feel like I could learn from you. Like that's how gentle Virgo's energy feels throughout the year. Like, I suspect a lot of people will be coming to you for advice or trying to I don't feel like anyone's gonna try and shake you up. Like, whatever structure you're doing, keep up the good work. A lot of people could learn from your good example, Virgo. When we go into the fourth quarter and we enter into winter, where we got the October, November, and December, Neptune does transit back into Pisces. And it's sort of as though, anchoring in a practical reality and in some ways slipping back into a bit of a dream state. What's the overall energy during that time? Anomaly. Yeah, you are absolutely the anomaly in this entire zodiac. Like, if you're somebody who felt as though you never fit in, you always felt like the fucking weirdo, good news, you were right. I really feel like this year you're just going to have so much permission to be yourself. It's like you're starting off 2025 with the intention of, you know what, if I just take care of myself and I stop investing into other people's bullshit, what could happen? And you could actually discover that life does not need to be difficult. You could discover that life doesn't need to be full of drama, trauma, and people who would rather keep you asleep because, it's inconvenient for them. There will be a lot of shifts more than likely going on when it comes to your friendships and the people you associate with. But I feel as though you have a real good grasp on captaining yourself as you go through 2025. What's the energy for that King of Wands? Like, your imagination is stepping up. You're stepping into a leadership role. I really feel like for the last part of the year, if you never thought yourself as a teacher or a mentor, um, these opportunities are just naturally going to land on your lap. Or if you've always felt as though you have been a leader, there's something there's something a little bit extra about it. As though, oh, maybe I am really good at this. There's actually something you're really, really good at, Virgo, that you might have taken for granted and really not thought of it as a skill or even something that you'd capitalize on. Ten of Swords. Like, even though this has felt like a very quiet reading, it's because you have been trying to actively end something in your life, especially if you felt like you had been betrayed, like whether that's betrayed through a former marriage partner, a business partner, feeling as though some people stabbed you in the back in some ways. This is a bit of a reflection of 2024 of what it is that you just need to leave behind and just make the active intention of having a life full of peace. What else do we have? Nine of Wands. Like, the more you learn to protect your peace, the more you are incentivized to protect your peace. Like, this is a positive feedback loop. This is the kind where you feel so good and you're incentivized to keep feeling good. A lot of people will be learning from your example. And the best part is you just need to be yourself. In some ways, the King of Wands, when, he's being a little bit of an egoic bastard, it's like, no, you have to do it my way. Otherwise, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there you go. Fucking thumbs up. But there's something about the way that you are turning things around for yourself. You find the inner calm and you're able to start manifesting it externally. We also have the lovers. Like this is a like I feel as though this year, like I won't say this month, but this year, it's going to be full of reflection, honoring your journey, recognizing how far you've actually come. Well, this year, Virgo, is going to be significant and full of transformation. Because you've done a lot of the inner work, you can look forward to a year where it's going to happen naturally. It's not as though you're going to sit back and let everything come to you. No, like you got the King of Wands. You are recognizing where it is that you need to be the peacemaker, where it is that you need to put up the boundary, and what is actually worth entertaining and what is just worth ignoring. You're coming into your autonomy this year, and this is giving you a chance to weather all kinds of different storms. But what kind of energy can we use to sum up 2025 for the sign of Virgo? Got the dimensional planes of perception, portals, possibilities, options. You have the option to pick your piece. I will say, if there's anyone who's a Virgo, and while you like the theory of what it is that I just said, but you're still dealing with the chaos, if you're still here and listening to this message, this is designed to dare you. Do you dare to pick your piece? You have an option. You have possibilities for 2025, regardless of however it is that you felt about this message, you get to make the choice. And what choice do you plan on making? I'm just saying. Wow. Well, Virgo, however your 2025 manifests for you, damn, I sincerely hope that this helped. Make sure to check out the timestamps below for your sun, rising, moon, and Venus to get a more comprehensive look as to what 2025 could look like for you. Please make sure to like and comment on the video if you found this helpful, and if you need some support going into 25, Berries is here. Make sure you subscribe. And until I see you at the next one, I'm wishing you peace, love, and all the berries. Bye. Hey there, Capricorn. Welcome in. Let's see what is up for you for the year of 2025. Intuitively, I really feel like Capricorns, you're going to be able to start looking forward to a healthier work-life balance. Like, don't get me wrong, there could be some more power struggles along the way. And I say more because I realize that Capricorn has had a very difficult year in terms of having a good balance when it comes to having healthy boundaries with people around you. And however 2024 went for you, you have bored it well. And I feel as though you're going to be able to take a lot of these lessons and be able to reprioritize what your goals in life and what your goals in your career are supposed to be. So the reading, we're going to be breaking it down based on the quarters, in your case, the financial quarters. And we're going to have a look at some of the things that the divine will be orchestrating in order to make sure that you get the most out of this year. For you guys specifically, because I know Capricorns, you guys love to have a list, some tasks, and knowing that you can focus your energy somewhere. There's going to be an ask for you to start thinking about having a more thoughtful meditative practice, and in some ways adding it to a pre-existing routine. For example, if you love going to the gym, there's something we said about the taking like 5 minutes before you go for your workout or after your workout, taking a moment just to be silent and within your own energy and having a chance to clear everything out. You got a lot of to-dos on your list, but there's something about realizing you have over identified with a lot of energies around you. And when you're getting better at creating healthy boundaries, it becomes a lot easier for you to create those priorities so that you don't repeat some karmic missteps that you might have experienced, especially from 2024. But overall, for 2025, we do have the card of displacement. I really feel like you're going to be cleaning up your life this year. So don't let this card alarm you. This is sort of like the anti like my anti Capricorn. No, this is like anti Capricorn. But it's just a recognition that there have been some things that just need to be cleaned up. It's not a reflection if you've been a good Capricorn or a bad Capricorn. It's just that you've had a lot of extra energies piled up onto you, and you have been better at cleaning those away. And I feel like the divine wants to reorganize things so that you can just move on and be passionate, have some semblance of purpose and whatever your personal goals are supposed to be. So for the first quarter, we got January, February, and March. The North Node will be shifting into Pisces. And for Capricorn, it's a time for you to start again. I'm talking about goal driven. I'm talking about where it is that you want to go. I feel like a few of you may have over identified with other people telling you what it is that you should do. And I feel as though some of the mentors that you used to lean on, it's kind of a chance for you to start dismissing people out of your life that it's thank you for your service. Thank you so much that you were willing to help me out. However, I've grown and I need to find somebody brand new. What's the overall energy of the card of mischief? Uh well, it could feel as though people could be conspiring against you. Like, I don't think you're that paranoid, to be honest, Capricorn. Let's get some cards to dive in and see what this mischief card is supposed to be. I will note that the base and the top is a 31 and a 13. So it's one of these things where if you notice people externally from you are behaving in certain ways, just remember your reality is a mirror reflection of what's going on inside. And it may have been tempting to try and control your outer world in order to find clarity and I want to say sustenance, but that's not really the word. Clarity and just a healthier foundation from within. Like this year for 2025, like a lot of people are going to be called to really think about what's going on in their subconscious within their psyche. And everyone is different with how they operate when it comes to their psychological health. But again, there's a lot of cleanup, especially the first half of the year, because there is a need for you to prioritize your health, your mental well being, your physical well being, and you'll be the best judge to figure out which direction you need to go. We have your energy right here, Capricorn AF. Yes. Like, this is a very practical first quarter that you're going to be rolling into. And in some ways, if you're able to take the lessons from 2024 and be able to observe what had gone on around you, 2025, you'll just be able to see people for who they are. Like you may have been sort of I'm sorry, embellishing a few of your relationships, a few of your friendships, maybe over exaggerating the depth of your relationships. And I feel as though some people's true colors will be coming out. This seems to be a common theme as I've gone through the zodiac and looked at some of the other signs. But what do we have going on up here? Nine of Wands. Like, you're persistent, you are driven. It is actually one of your fantastic gifts. But it feels as though some of your friends, colleagues, the people you associate with, I feel like they're gonna be pushing you to the edge of your limits. What do we have here? The Hermit. Like, it's one of these feelings where on the surface, you're like, okay, cool, you're just gonna be this way. Okay, fine. And it could be very easy for you to ignore what's actually going on inside. But I feel like inwardly, there's a lot of potential for enlightenment for Capricorns, especially for the first part of the year. Because if people are being way more transparent, it means that folks are just too exhausted to put on a mask. And that's technically a good thing, but it can be a little bit heartbreaking. There we go. Four of Wands. Like, especially if these people have been part of your foundation. For example, it's like, well, you've been going to book club with these people for 4 or 5 years. Like, why is it suddenly not satiating? Like, why is it all of a sudden I don't feel like I'm connected to these people? Listen to that. It means that you're not happy. Like, just because you have been associating with a group of people, whatever this activity or group, this activity, this group, this community, these friends, There's a change that the divine is trying to show to you. We're all tired. We're all exhausted. 2024 was a very rough year for a lot of us, including you. But your friends have also been going through a lot as well. Whether if you guys have shared with each other or not about what's going on, I feel like you have been sharing and the friends have been sharing back, but it hasn't been healthy in the sense that, hey, I'm telling you what's going on in my life, but I'm taking accountability. I'm just sharing. Maybe something I'm going through could help you. I don't feel like that's what's been going on. It's, I'm going through this thing, so I can't let you burden me with your problems. Like, there's a little bit of this sort of reality drama that it feels very twingy for the first few months, but people are just becoming who they actually are. And it's going to be important that you're not judgmental about yourself, judgmental about them. Sometimes people are the way that they are, and we have to honor that. Now, as we move into the second quarter, it's April, May, and June. There's a lot of amazing transits going on within the outer planets. We've got Neptune going into Aries. And, up until this point, you might have been just sort of, all right, I'm just going to lay low in my dream state. It's kind of nice in here. There's a few things I got to deal with, a little bit of cleanup, but there's going to be a call in the second quarter to start being way more practical with your plans and start to think about how your dream space becomes more of a reality, especially if you had an idea of what your friendships should be, but they're not manifesting the way that you should. And it's kind of realizing, wait, if these people are the way that they are, why am I trying to make them be something that they are not? What do we have right here? Observation. There's something about 2024. This is the month, like, this is the quarter where all of these lessons are going to be sort of crescendoed for you to really see these people for who they actually are. Jupiter will be going into Cancer, and the planet of Jupiter is about expanding ourselves and becoming another version of who it is we desire to be. It's going into Cancer, which is very subconscious. That's why I keep talking about the unconscious realm. Like, Capricorn, in some ways, you guys have had the flag of awesome for the last 18 years or so because Pluto has been within your sign. But a lot of the practical applications that people have put into, well, I need to make sure that I have a roommate so I can pay the rent. I need to make sure that I have a mortgage so that I have equity. You've been doing a lot of strategic things when it comes to your financial safety, but there's a shift now with Pluto going into Aquarius. Everything feels a little bit lighter, but it also means that the physical things that you counted on in friendship, in family, with work security, you can't depend on those things as much anymore, especially if you had something awful that happened to you in 2024. There might be a need to make some radical decisions, and that could make a Capricorn feel very fucking uncomfortable. So, what do we have right here? We got the Empress. Like, you have this really neat chance to take into consideration what it is you truly want to feel happy. The Empress can sit there and allow things to come to her. Capricorn and the Empress, you guys can get along with these two energies, but there's something unrealistic about your expectations of others that might be letting you down during this time. We got Seven of Wands. Boundaries. Remember when I was riffing on your energy at the beginning of your reading? You've allowed a lot of people through up into 2024 to like be rude towards you or in some ways make you feel uncomfortable and you don't exactly know always how to deal with it. Some of this may come back around to haunt you. It isn't here to make you feel bad about the situation. It's actually to test your energy so that you actually feel way more confident about having healthier boundaries, especially if you're observing certain people, they haven't changed. You hoped they could change, you wanted to give them the space, but something about the second quarter of 2025 is having to really test your resolve about this. Eight of Swords, where This feels good. Like, it's not comfortable, but overall it feels good. Like, girls out there, like it's like taking off your bra after a long day. It's like, okay, all right, I can relax. It's getting into your pajamas. There's something a chance for you to start feeling way more comfortable with the energy when you just recognize that you can make choices, even if that choice is, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Let's get another card. Four of Cups. You need to acknowledge your emotions, especially during this time. Because whatever reality you've crafted around you, sure, it's comfortable, it's luxurious, you're getting shit done. But just because everything externally appears to be okay, the second quarter is going to be set up for you, Capricorn, where you need to start thinking about your emotions. How do you actually feel? Because Four of Cups is about disappointment, kind of acknowledging you came back with the same thing again. Oh, you came back with that same bullshit again. And a previous version of you, I feel as though could have really brought you down. But I do get a semblance of acceptance and as you move into the third quarter, if you're able to start heeding a lot of these lessons that the divine has been throwing at you, you get to have the choice. You get to choose how people, pardon me, you get to choose what kind of energies you welcome into your life. You get to choose to accept or reject people's behavior. And as long as you don't feel anchored to trying to figure out a good way of phrasing this. If you're not allowing yourself to make physical things your highest priority, sort of like, well, I'm afraid if I speak up to this person, I could lose my job. It's one of those sort of feelings, but it's like, well, if you're worried about losing your job because you can't speak up, you have the power to move on. You do have the power to speak up. You need to acknowledge your feelings and not ignore them, especially during this time, because you have goals, you have desires, you have manifestations that are incoming, and your goal ideally should be the good, better, and best, and trying to achieve that best. Going into the third quarter, where it's July, August, and September, Uranus will be entering into Gemini. I've been calculating that during this transit, everybody is going to be going through some semblance of an awakening. And I feel like people will just be a little bit more chatty about what they believe in, even if they believe in the absurd. I think one of the signs we are talking about, I believe in aliens, or I believe there's extraterrestrial life. It has to, it's one of these things where it's like you can believe in unicorns, and even though nobody else agrees with you, you're kind of okay with accepting that I'm okay with the unicorn. I connect with it. Your inner child is asking for a chance to have a little bit more fun. Because it's okay to go to work, it's okay to be practical, it's okay to be the adult, but there's an ask for some of your childlike imagination during the third quarter to come out. What's the overall energy? I love it. Waterproof. Like, waterproof can mean a couple of different things. And it's one of these warnings where you can't just ignore your emotions just because, no, there's a way better way of phrasing this. A lot of people around you, they're going to be trying to well up an emotion from you, whether that is trying to make you feel guilty, trying to make you feel uncomfortable. You've had a lot of external people after you. Like, I'm actually quite impressed with your resolve, Capricorn. But when you are learning how to shield yourself from other people's emotions, it's so important. This is your repeat message. You need to acknowledge your own emotions. Remember when we were starting your reading, I mentioned about adding a meditative practice to your routine. And you can adjust it to however it is it's going to make the most sense for you. It could be journaling before you go to sleep, having a proactive meditation, like, it's sort of like if you arrive at work in your car, just taking a 5-minute meditation break before starting your work day, or maybe at the end of the day, clearing your energy, adding it to part of your workout. Because there's something about, in your case, clearing your energy, emptying your mind, and just being with the almighty me, myself, and I, so that you can remember who you are. I feel as though you've gotten a little bit lost in the minutia, trying to be a leader, trying to be there for the people around you, trying to make sure that your financial health remains stable. Wow, there's a lot of solar plexus shakeups that you could be experiencing, and the solar plexus is about your willpower and your willingness to get things done. But I feel as though you're going to be getting a sort of like you have a new priority and it's yourself. You may not have been realizing this consciously, but you've been a little bit over dedicated to what other people think about you. Because in leadership, in a corporate ladder, for example, well, my boss needs to recognize that I'm a good, diligent worker so I can get the promotion. But if your boss is a jerk, there's only so much that you can do to placate to that energy. But at the base, we do have Page of Wands. I do want to look at it in the light aspect. This is a chance for you to start being a creative communicator. In some ways, get a hobby. Like, it doesn't necessarily all have to be about work. Like, I think that Capricorn is actually being encouraged, tap into your artistic nature. Even if you're a math person, you prefer the sciences, like there's so many things that you could learn about. Reading a book about something that has nothing to do with your job, but you find it personally fascinating. There's a real good chance for you to reconnect with your inner child. And, I'm joking about unicorns, but if you're a practical person who doesn't want to believe in too much of the fluffy stuff, like there's still a chance for you to embrace in fantasy. Why? Because the stories are good. I talk a lot about what is your story, what is your his story, and being a okay, her story. We will acknowledge that too. I heard that. But you're getting a chance to start reconnecting with yourself, a chance to invest into a hobby, something that you find supreme joy and satisfaction about. We got the moon. There's a lot of lessons that you've been taking away from the second quarter of 2025 that has really, because I see this as a full moon, this is a realization. This is sort of the culmination of an intention. This may even feel like a bit of a 6-month cycle finally coming to fruition. 10 of Wands. Like, I do like it is in its light aspect. In some ways, learning how to manage your time, manage the burdens, and finding a better work-life balance where you are doing things that are healthy for you, whether if that is literally going to the gym, finding foods that are nourishing and supportive, but also just finding hobbies and interests that just engage you. I see down here we do have the ankles that have been taped up for the person. Like, taking care of yourself is going to be very important, especially during this time. You are way more than the sum of your job. And there's something about learning how to reconnect with your inner child and your hobbies. It's actually gonna add to your overall goals in a way that I don't think you can quite see yet. King of Wands. This is a lot of you coming into your own sense of leadership and not being a stubborn little bastard about it. I feel like you may have been placating to bosses, higher ups, colleagues, even parental figures where they may have come across as being distorted, manipulative, and you don't want to be that person. Distorted, manipulative people, they don't take time to nourish the inner child. They don't take time to invest into their hobbies. They come up with excuses how, well, I've got children and they're going to have to be the priority, which there's nothing wrong with that inherently. But healthy people take the time to do what is important for themselves. And when you prioritize yourself, all the other burdens become a little bit more effortless around you. I heard a really cool hack from a spiritual life coach, and she was talking about the holidays. And I got to do this, I got to do that. I have this thing with the kids, I got this thing with my husband. I've been volunteering at this thing. I got the family coming in. Like, all of our plans for the holidays got completely messed up because of an issue. And she had to sit down and write out what was important to her on a day to day basis because she was looking at the situation thinking, oh shit, how am I going to get everything done and still take care of myself? You are being guided at this time. Like, write down three things that are very important to you on a daily basis to ensure that you are sustaining a healthy work life balance, that you're honoring your hobbies and your interests, but you're also honoring your physical body. Because as we go into the fourth quarter, which is October, November, and December, Neptune is going to flip back into Pisces. And it's one of these feelings like, slipping into the bathtub and just sort of allowing all of the burdens sort of melt away. When you prioritize yourself, you bend time, you bend reality, but it gives your body a chance to relax. You could reconnect with yourself so that when it's time to go do all the things, you can go on autopilot, you can move through it, and the nattering voices in the back of your mind, they become silenced and they don't bring you down. You've had things chewing on your energy without you even knowing, and there's something about this shift in the way that you manage yourself that is just opening up this portal where it's like you can feel almost invincible. People on the outside will look at you like, how do you maintain all of this? And you're just going to be like, hey, I prioritize myself. I write down my goals. I take the time to do the things that are important to me, and everything else that is important naturally works out. What's the fourth quarter going to be like? Trickery. Like, a lot of this is sort of external, sort of like this external feeling, but like, think about it this way. In this particular card, the crow has been collecting seeds but wants to make sure that nobody else is getting a hold of their hard work. There's something about you recognizing what is worth sharing and what is not worth sharing. You're planting some seeds so that you can take all the lessons you learned from 2025 and be able to help anchor in your most ideal lifestyle. And it means that not everybody is privy to what's going on within your life. You will be experiencing some shifts within your friendships, but don't be alarmed with that. If you've been feeling stagnant, it's because you have been accustomed to the same. And when you're ready for something new, the universe says, cool, we're going to give you the different. And just remember, you asked for this. There's a reason why you are being highly encouraged to write down your goals, because there will be days that you will forget that you wanted this. 2025 and 2026, with all the astrological elements with the outer planets, we're going through a very unique shift over the course of the next 18 months. And well, when we were accustomed to things kind of slowly working out, waiting for things to come to fruition, we're entering into an age of AI, AI generated content. Our ability to manifest, it's going to be super quick, and that might be daunting for you. So there's a bit of a warning within here. Really focus on yourself, really focus on your own energy, because you don't want to be sideswiped by somebody else's drama. And it's for them to take care of, not for you. It's sort of like, unless you're their therapist, well, first of all, if you're their therapist, you shouldn't be friends. That's actually illegal. But the other half of it is, you shouldn't be a therapist to your friends. Some people think that friendship is, okay, well, I can't afford real help and you can't afford real help, so we'll just help each other. And it turns into the blind leading the blind. And then we always wonder why we're having constant burdens and problems. But for the final quarter, I really like that I do see the chariot right here. You're going to be able to move forward. There is one warning within the final quarter of 2025. Don't look back. Your past is only there to inform you. It's not to grab you by the shoulder and derail you. It's when you're driving, for example. Like, it's good to, do a shoulder check to ensure that there's nobody in your blind spot before taking a lane change. But if you're feeling uncomfortable, especially if you're a brand new driver, sometimes you don't realize you're turning the wheel while trying to look with what's going on. You're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable in this energy only because you're exercising new skills that your brain is still acclimating to. What do we have? There we go. There's the lizard brain, freaking out about a few stuff, but you're going to learn how to overcome some internal obstacles, especially as you have gotten better with knowing what is worth sharing, what is not worth sharing. And I feel like your lizard brain, your feral nature, it's gonna be getting a bit of a workout, especially the latter part of the year, but that's just your mind. Like, I was talking about reading a new book. This might be a good chance for you to dive back into that psychology book that you were so interested in when you were a kid, or learning more about neurology, or even just getting into stories, talking about learning how to overcome great obstacles. Like, you get to be the author of your story, but it's important for you to make sure that you are writing pen to paper about it. We got the world. Like, there there's a cycle that's ending. Like, whether if this is how you relate to your coworkers, how you relate to your friends, how you relate to family, it's going to be different for all of you. Because when it's in its reversal, there's a risk of repeating the same episode, repeating the same TV series, only because it feels familiar. But if you're able to honor how your brain works, it's trying to rewrite a new narrative, rewrite the neurological pathways so that you no longer allow the past to dictate what's going on. You can just be the Capricorn that you are in this moment. We got the card of the lovers. And you'll be able to start discerning distorted masculine energy. Like, we sometimes put on a show and we think that, oh, if I act confident, I'll become confident. There is some truth to it, but a lot of people have twisted that narrative. The work that you're being encouraged to do for 2025 on that subconscious level is going to be so critical, so that your inner world is a reflection of the outer world rather than trying to force the outer world in a way so that you can find your peace from within. There's a bit of a flip going on with how you might have been managing yourself, but don't